The game of chicken differs from the prisoner's dilemma in that in the game of chicken, mutual defection supplies a lower payoff than the sucker's payoff. Like the prisoner's dilemma, in the game of chicken, when you have unilateral defection, the defector gets greater gains than the cooperator does, and as a consequence, there is a temptation to defect. This provides a bigger payoff than mutual cooperation does. When a defector is interacting with a cooperator, you still get the sucker's payoff. However, when there's mutual defection going on, the payoff value actually is lower than that of the sucker's payoff. This provides greater incentive on the part of the individuals that are playing this game to in fact not defect than one sees in the prisoner's dilemma. However, there are circumstances, in fact, where there can be selection for increased levels of defection, and basically those are where the possibility of mutual defection is relatively low. One can see a game of chicken being played in microbial systems with what are known as DI particles. DI particles are defective interfering particles. They are viruses that are unable to infect a cell on their own, but instead are able to parasitize infections that are caused by the wild-type version of the same virus. In this case, when you have co-infection going on between a DI particle and the wild-type virus, the DI particle steals from the wild-type virus and as a consequence displays a higher fitness than the wild-type virus. The case of mutual cooperation is where you simply have wild-type virus infecting an individual cell. Again, in the case of co-infection, when you have wild-type virus and DI particle infecting the same cell, the DI particle gains in this interaction, resulting in the temptation to defect payoff, but the wild-type virus loses again because the DI particle is stealing from the wild-type virus. The fourth situation is the mutual defection, where you have nothing but DI particles infecting an individual cell. The DI particles are defective. They're unable to successfully infect cells on their own, and as a consequence, the DI particle is not able to survive given infection of a cell on its own. So its payoff is lower than the payoff associated with the wild-type virus, while the wild-type virus is being parasitized by the DI particle. DI particles, however, can evolve. They evolve under circumstances where, in fact, the infection of a cell only by a DI particle is relatively rare, and this can happen when the density of the wild-type viruses is high in the environment, both because there's lots of wild-type viruses around and because the proportion of viruses making up the viral population consisting of wild-type viruses is much higher than that consisting of DI particles. Thus, when the likelihood of actually having to participate in a mutual defection interaction is low, the selection can favor the evolution of defection within such populations. Another way of saying this is when the potential for a defector to take advantage of cooperators is high, there's little incentive to not be a defector.